It is Sunday, the 13th of November, 2016. I'm in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, here in the background there. And I'm at the western extremity of the path that leads out to the west, to the sidewalk on Bulmer Street. And I just put down this chalk slogan: Unitarians misuse blasphemy law to hide rape. An entirely truthful statement, borne out by the fact that the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations in Boston hired Montreal law firm Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors. Well, perhaps not a Montreal law firm, because it's a national firm of lawyers. There's about 500 lawyers across Canada, but the Montreal office of Stikeman Elliott Barristers and Solicitors, specifically defamation and litigation lawyer Maître Marc-André Coulombe. Maître, by the way, is a title, so it's Marc-André Coulombe is the guy's name. Maître is just the title of the lawyer. He was hired to have me served with a cease and desist demand letter in June of 2012, which, amongst other highly questionable and in some cases outright false accusations, Maître Coulombe said the following thing: "Your unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape are defamatory." And he went on to say that they're so defamatory that they constitute the criminal act of blasphemous libel, which is essentially blasphemy against the Unitarian Universalist religious community. Yes, Canada does have a blasphemy law in the Canadian Criminal Code. It has not been repealed yet, even though its constitutionality is open to considerable question. So on June 1st of 2012, I found myself basking in the untold glory of being accused of blasphemy by atheist Unitarians in the 21st century. So, you know, that's the interesting thing, is it wasn't just Unitarians, but it was specifically Unitarian Universalists of the atheist persuasion who are most responsible for hiring Maître Marc-André Coulombe to accuse me of blasphemy. Specifically, UUA President Reverend Dr. Peter Morales, who bears ultimate responsibility for any such legal action taken by the Unitarian Universalist Association, but also the Executive Vice President of the Unitarian Universalist Association, Kathleen K. Montgomery. Her job description includes coordinating the efforts of the UUA's lawyers, and so she would have been the person, you know, had the most hands-on, you know, dealing with this, more so than President Morales would have. She would have been the person in terms of the upper levels of the UUA who basically arranged for Maître Marc-André Coulombe to falsely accuse me of blasphemous libel. So we're protesting that. It's 2016. It's basically been more than 4 years since the Unitarian Universalist Association falsely accused me of blasphemous libel, in an effort to cover up and hide the fact that some of their ministers, to say nothing of some of their Sunday school teachers, to say nothing of some of their ordinary churchgoers, are in fact guilty of committing such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, and have even been charged, tried, and convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. I wrote back to Maître Coulombe soon after receiving that demand letter, telling him that, you know, I was having considerable difficulty finding the Emerson Avenger blog posts that matched his description of unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. Yeah, perhaps I didn't mention that this cease and desist demand letter was specifically regarding the Emerson Avenger blog posts, which Maître Marc-André Coulombe insisted that I had to delete, also known as memory hole, a little nod to George Orwell there. So I told him, you know, I can't find any blog posts that match your description. Could you please provide me with titles or URLs or dates or something that identifies which blog post you're talking about? Because the initial cease and desist demand letter did not identify by title or URL or date or anything, any of the blog posts that it claimed, you know, constituted blasphemous libel. So what happened is, some days later, Maitre Marc-André Coulombe wrote back to me with a second cease and desist demand letter, which responded to my initial query, and in it he said, your claims not to be able to find the offending material are not credible, blah 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 blah, go find it yourself. Now, he didn't say go find it yourself, but that was the upshot of his letter, because he did not provide titles, he did not provide URLs, he did not provide dates, he did not provide any, you know, helpful information. You know, he was just arrogantly said, you know, you know what I'm talking about, you deal with it, kind of thing, you know. So I had to write back to Maitre Marc-André Coulombe and explain to him, well, no, I don't think you quite understood what I'm saying. I do know where I've posted blog posts about Unitarian Universalists who've been charged, tried, and convicted of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, and that these rapes, to say anything of pedophilia, were reported in newspapers. I don't know where the unfounded blog posts are. You tell me where the unfounded blog posts are, and I'll go have a look and I'll decide what to do. Well, of course, that was the last I ever heard from Maitre Marc-André Coulombe. He never responded to that email, and he's never responded to any of the subsequent emails that I sent him demanding that he back up his bullshit with evidence. And I, of course, emailed UUA leaders, including Reverend Dr. Peter Morales himself, including Kathleen K. Montgomery herself, including the UUA Board of Trustees and the UUA moderator, Jeannie Corder at the time, and later Jim Key, and made it very, very clear to him, well, you know, you're going to do 3 things here, if not 4. You're going to formally withdraw your false blasphemous libel accusation against me. You're going to apologize publicly for falsely accusing me of the criminal act of blasphemous libel in an effort to hide such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers. And you're going to tell the truth about just how many Unitarian Universalist ministers and just how many Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers have been charged, tried, and convicted and sentenced to jail terms and spent time in jail for committing such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. And as an addendum to that, because not all Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists are charged, tried, and convicted of pedophilia and or rape or other serious sexual misconduct. I also demanded that UUA must also say how many Unitarian Universalist ministers and Sunday school teachers had been credibly accused of such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, even if they weren't charged, tried, and convicted. Well, guess what? The UUA never did that. So here we are protesting the fact that Unitarians misuse blasphemy law to hide rape, and we're going to continue protesting the fact that Unitarian Universalists misuse blasphemy law to hide rape until such a time as the Unitarian Universalist Association does what I asked it to, which is entirely within the claimed principles and purposes of Unitarian Universalism, whereas their immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, and quite frankly batshit crazy blasphemous libel accusation against me makes a mockery of not only Unitarian Universalism's 7 principles and other claimed ideals, but the fact that Unitarians and Universalists have traditionally opposed blasphemy laws because in the past Unitarians and Universalists were persecuted with blasphemy laws because of their somewhat heretical, religious beliefs. Unitarians denied the Trinity. Universalists proclaimed universal salvation. And so as a result of these two, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Perceived heresies, perceived blasphemies. In the past, Unitarian Universalists were prosecuted with the blasphemy laws of countries like England and Geneva, Switzerland. Calvin famously had, trying to remember his name. Oh gosh, the names, I know the name, it's just like slipping my memory banks at the moment. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I'm trying to remember it. A famous Unitarian dissenter, as it were. It starts with S. I got that. Oh dear. You know, my memory is usually pretty darn good, but you know, you get these occasional temporary memory lapses, and the guy's name is like right on the tip of my tongue. He's a Socinian, an Arminian. He was burned at the stake by Calvin. I just can't remember his name right now, so sorry about that. We were doing so well up to that point. Anyway, this is the first chalk slogan I've laid down. So it's bad enough, you know, that Unitarian Universalists would accuse anyone of blasphemy for any reason whatsoever. Servetus, that's the guy's name, Servetus. So yes, Servetus, however you want to pronounce it, was burned at the stake by Calvin for denying the Trinity and so on. So getting back to things, you know, it's outrageous that Unitarians and the Universalists would accuse anyone of blasphemy for any reason whatsoever, but to falsely accuse someone of blasphemy in an effort to hide the truth about such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers, and yes, Unitarian Universalist lay leaders, it's just insanity. You know, it's just pure insanity. It's batshit crazy. And so is walking by my picket signs and ignoring them, as this woman and numerous Montreal Unitarians have done. It's a little early to be protesting. I mean, it's not that early. It's around 9:30 or so. The service is an hour away, the beginning of the service. I decided to come. You know, I usually try to be here for 9:30 anyway. I got here a little earlier, maybe 9:15 or maybe 9:20, 25. But anyway, we're just starting up a protest. I'm going to lay down some more chalk slogans. It was difficult to do so in the last few weeks because rain had, even if it wasn't wet, it had caused leaves to become glued to the sidewalk, making it difficult to you know, lay down chalk. So it's nice to be able to do these chalk slogans in the middle of November. We'll see how much more time we get. Eventually the sidewalks are going to be covered in snow and it will not be possible to do the chalk slogans until next year. But so far so good. We're mid-November and still putting down chalk slogans. So I see someone going by there. I don't know if they're a church goer or not. I have a feeling they might be. And I'm right. So it's another person entering the Unitarian Church of Montreal. The church that, while it didn't bring the blasphemous libel accusation against me, to the best of my knowledge, I mean, it might have had a hand in that. It's possible that the Unitarian Church of Montreal asked the Unitarian Universalist Association to do something to intimidate me into shutting up about clergy sex abuse and so on. Although, to be clear, you know, my picket signs and my chalk slogans really didn't deal overtly with sexual misconduct, and certainly not with pedophilia and rape. I use the general term clergy abuse because it covers both sexual and non-sexual clergy abuse. So it was only after the Unitarian Universalist Association falsely accused me of blasphemous libel, but that I started to put words like pedophilia and rape on my picket signs and on my chalk slogans. And speaking of picket signs, a couple got blown over by the wind here, so we're just going to fix them. Basically this picket sign says the same thing: Unitarian Universalist misuse blasphemy law 2. And the second one, oh, it already got blown down again. Cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. So those two picket signs go together. I usually display, one in each hand, so it can be read as a full sentence. Unitarian Universalist misuse blasphemy law to cover up pedophilia and rape. So these picket signs did not exist, obviously, prior to being accused of blasphemous libel by the Unitarian Universalist Association. As I said, I generally just use the word clergy abuse. I might have thrown sexual in there every now and then, but anyhow, so it goes. They just made matters worse by falsely accusing me of blasphemous libel in an effort to hide the truth. So we're going to pick up my chalk here and go get the other picket signs. And I think we'll lay down another chalk slogan or two after picking up the picket signs here that got blown down. And then we'll circulate with the picket signs. This unsafe sect, excuse me, got a little bit of a dry throat this morning. Unsafe sect picket sign. It's actually a classic. That picket sign is one of the first picket signs that I displayed